grab a beverage because here we go. What is Dang doing? Showing off his fuck like a taekwondo master or something. Oh my god, my coworker is so hilarious. Okay, we're right in the middle of doing the main bearings. Let's see what you can or can't see or can't hear. So, grab a beverage, find a comfortable place to sit. We got 20 minutes to talk about doing the main bearings on this monster. And this is going to be a little technical. Can't even get the ship and frame. Dang thing is so big. Oh, it's gonna be a little technical if you don't know about motors. Look at these bearings. These things are huge.
This
piston rings.
Stack right here is all of piston rings.
We've done a bunch of disassembly.
6 inches across.
We got the rods. Jason flipping me off. Everything has been disassembled, so there's the piston and the crown. It comes in 2 pieces. If the rings go south, you shatter the rings. You can replace the crown and leave the skirt. Everything is meant to be serviceable, meant to be replaceable, much more than your car. It's really cool to see how this shit all comes apart. What is Dang working on? Oh, he's cleaning the carbon off the top. If you've ever done a timing belt on your car, these are timing gears. These motors are all geared up. Check out this stack of gears. The ones on the floor are ones I've already pulled out from the outside. And now we are trying to... This gear was so stuck, it took us 2 days. Literally 3 people for 2 days. You see that red plate is bent because of the pressure we put on that thing trying to pull it out. It was a giant nightmare. There was an actual huge problem that turned into a huge argument on this job with how beat up the internals were on this boat. We were able to fix it and get it back together, get them back on the road. This was not an easy project. What am I showing you now? Walking around, we got rags everywhere. That strap is holding the camshaft from being able to rotate. You can see we got rubber over the journals on. And here's the jacks. This is how we are going to lower the main bearings. The jacks and the spacers have already been installed. Apparently we're done with this process and taking the pieces off. No, oh, okay. You tighten it, back it off half a turn, set the window so that you can see everything, and now he's applying pressure with the jack. There's a very specific sequence you have to do everything, because that hydraulic jack, if you don't get it lined up properly, you can jam it in there. Let's say you loosen the nut a few turns back, and then you let the pressure off on the jack, and the jack binds up on the nut. So that's why we count a very specific number of times that we loosen the nut. There's a specific sequence we tighten the jacks. It has to be perfect, otherwise it gets jammed. As I was learning many years ago, I jammed it plenty of times, and then, oh my goodness, gotta redo this process. Okay, because it's all jammed. It's just part of the thing I'm showing you in real time right now. I haven't sped up this footage. It is not a quick process at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Good. I absolutely love the teamwork of this. Communicating with my coworker, super loud in the background. It's actually fairly quiet with the camera inside the engine and our heads inside the engine. It's actually fairly quiet. So now we got the jack. We're done with the jack, and we need to transfer it from your left over here to the right, and that large green handle that I stuck in there. This is still not easy. A milk jug weighs 8 pounds, so that gives you an idea. That jack and spacer weighs, I don't know what it weighs, it's more than a milk jug, 10, 12 pounds. It's not easy. You're bending over, your arms at full extension, trying to reach down there. Now watch me fight with this stupid thing. Lower it down. Don't want to drop it. It's wobbly. Oh my goodness. Over we go. Get it up. Get it up. Come on. Now the fight is to get it square so that you can tighten it. I am failing at getting it square right now. So my coworker is going to reach himself down in there. I'm going to set it back down into position. And then he's going to tell me when I'm square or not, and he's going to get it threaded up. Yep, he got it. You see how easy it is with help, but when you're fighting by yourself, big heavy weight down, it's a goofy process. You see down in the bottom, we got it all full of rags that are covered in oil. It is not clean in here. There's the do-rag wrapped around my head because I'm sweating buckets, it's hot. Okay, the nut has been loosened, the jacks have been taken off, and now I drop the nut by hand. In the center there, you're wondering, what is that pipe? It's actually a hydraulic ram. It has 2 ports on it we can thread fittings in and hydraulically pump it up or down. In this moment, we have chosen not to attach anything to it. I am loosening the last nut, and that crankshaft main cap is free, other than being stuck just from sitting for so long. Oh, she's a squirter. Down we go. You can see the lower bearing right there in the top of the cap.
She's a squirter. You want to rotate the engine, or is that a good position?
That's actually pretty perfect.
All right.
Now, we gotta get the top bearing out.
Takes the old bearing out. That's the bottom bearing, that's easy. It's right in front of your face. The top bearing is still on top of the crankshaft, and the crankshaft drops maybe a millimeter when you do this. If you're working on your car, you flip the engine upside down, take all the caps out, take the crankshaft out. Now we have this special tool here to insert in that hole right there. That's the oil galley hole that provides oil to the bearings for the crankshaft. And you put that special tool right in that hole and make sure everything's lined up. And then he slowly rotates the engine. And that tool is just tall enough to catch the bearing without catching any of the machine surfaces inside the block, and it is pushing that bearing out as he's rotating the engine with the electric starting switch. He's watching very carefully and going very slowly because he doesn't want to mess anything up. It'll drop soon. There he goes. A little bit more, a little bit more. Just checking it out. Slow and steady wins the race here. So cool to watch how large there's the bearing drop, how large those counterweights are on that. crankshaft. It dropped out the bottom. He's rotating it around backwards, checking out everything's good. And there you can see the bearing right there sitting on the cap. When we go to reinstall it, we just oil it up and slide it in by hand. You don't need the tool on the way back in. Okay. Both of the bearings are out. And now he's going to grab some emery cloth, or sandpaper as you might know it. And we're going to wrap this emery cloth around the exposed surface, and we're going to polish this surface to make sure that it is perfectly clean before we put new bearings in. It's a slow, tedious process. Here, as I show you in real time, I might end up speeding this up because it takes so long. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to speed this
See
up.
it? I did not see it. I see it. There it is.
I grab it once, and then I hand it back to him. By the time you're done, this strip is dang near 5-6 feet long. So we wrap it all the way around. Takes it, he's going to wrap it, hand it all the way back around to me again. This whole time that you're doing this work, imagine, whatever your day job is, you can hear the noise in the background. It is hotter than hot. You have your earplugs in.
Nope. Don't see it.
Yelling to converse with your coworkers, and you're laying on
There it is.
laying on your belly, using both of your arms through a tiny hole. It's quite a ridiculous day job if you think about it like that. But here we go. Learning to be in sync. As I'm pulling, he's pulling, and we're smoothly going. This is years of practice. Ari and I have worked together for years. This does not happen overnight. It is, when you're first trying this with somebody you don't know, it is chunky and nasty, and it doesn't go this smooth. Like I said, we're polishing the journals here. I can't quite tell what...
Come over anymore, you gotta go all the way to the edge.
I am all the way on the edge on my side.
I can't quite tell what grit we are using. Knowing Ari, it would be 220 or 320, I would believe. Back and forth. You can see it make a difference and clean it up. Just if there's any high spots and low spots, you get dirt in your oil, any chunks, and they come in through that large feed hole in the center there, and then into the bearing, and those chunks will get pushed around and create low spots, high spots, ugly spots. So by running this sandpaper over the journal here,
Towards the flywheel.
we are creating a uniform surface to make sure that that bearing is riding on the best that it can.
Man, you need to eat more for breakfast than that fucking vegan bullshit.
That was cereal.
You got no fucking flour.
I know.
Yeah, you need to start eating real food. Fuck that bullshit. Hey, can you go farther that way?
Give me a little slack here. Hold on. Let me push the sandpaper. There we go.
Oh,
Hang out there for a second.
Yep.
I hadn't seen
All right.
Okay.
hadn't seen Ari in years at this point, and I started talking to her
Go
about
back towards the flywheel.
eating a vegan diet and
Alright,
all
that's
this
good enough. Bud.
Alright.
teasing me about not having enough horsepower to do the job. Oh, it's so funny.
Where's this jack looking to? The port's down there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The far side is jack down and the close side is jack up.
Oh, okay.
That's the ports I was talking on the hydraulic ram earlier. You finish the sandpaper process, and now I have a bug sprayer like you would get from the hardware store. Fill the bug sprayer full of diesel, and you have to get in there and just douche everything with diesel, spray it all clean, because that sandpaper leaves a residue. Spray everything with diesel, let it just saturate it completely, and then we stick a rag up in there, just like we stuck the sandpaper up in there. We stick a rag up in there and run the rag around a few times, get that nice and clean, and now we have the lower cap nice and clean. Stick in the bearing. Wait, oh, he's going for the top bearing. So this is his process for the top bearing. So the face of it was lubed with oil. Puts it up there and just walks it in with his fingers. Usually goes in fairly smoothly. And then he has an aluminum God, what do you want? Just some bar. He has an aluminum bar that you'll see
How's
here in a
that
minute.
feel, Zach?
He's asking me, how do I feel about...
That's, I can go down a hair farther. It's just enough to catch my fingernail.
how
Alright,
far...
maybe I'll pop it your way here.
How far is it? There's the aluminum bar, and he's going to use the aluminum bar to knock the bearing just a little bit further
Nope.
in the rotation
Yep,
towards
you move.
me,
Half a mil.
because the aluminum is softer than the bearing material,
Good. Good from my side. All right.
so you won't damage the bearing material.
Okay.
You see that cap at the bottom there, and how it has that sharp 90-degree edge at the top? What we're trying to do with the bearings is line them up perfectly with the edges, top and bottom. You don't want the top bearing or the bottom bearing like out of rotation and sticking up a few millimeters. You want it as perfect as possible, so that aluminum bar he has can just softly influence the bearing without causing any damage to the surface of the bearing. Now here we wipe down the bottom, prep to install the bottom bearing. I'm so glad this footage is so much cleaner than the last video. The inside of the engine is nasty. I'm busy working. I don't always have time to clean the lens. I don't even know the lens gets dirty sometimes. This is dang good footage. So he's using his hand to just get
Tap
that.
it down on your side. I'm way low.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll see him. There's his far edge, and he notices it's high. So he grabs that piece of aluminum and taps
Okay.
it.
Starting to move.
And he's going to reach over to my side,
I'd say a little more.
compare and contrast. You want to make sure it's totally centered in
That's
the
good.
cab.
Yeah, you're actually higher on your side.
And when we are talking higher and lower, this is milliscopic. So minuscule. It's got the container of motor oil, lubricating the bearing. Get that thing nice and oily before I jack that thing back up and then we bolt it back into place. There's all different compounds people say you can use when you're rebuilding an engine. Using the
Yes, sir.
using the motor oil that the engine is designed to run on works just fine. So these are the ports that I was saying, showing you the process for the hose with its quick release. And now start jacking up the jack. And up she goes. Gotta go up nice and slowly. Watch that bearing. You'll hear us talking about that in a minute. Making sure that it is nice and even. It's not a quick process by any means. The speed is not the name of the game here. Getting it done and getting it done right the first time is what you're aiming for. Almost there.
Okay, what do you think? That's a 1/4 inch.
Good on my side.
Looks good on my side.
All right.
Up we go.
It's home.
So then it's a repeat of the loosening process. Put the nuts on, put the jack on, tighten it up. All that yada yada, XYZ. Those nuts are not light by any means. It takes a lot of practice to be able to just put it down there and put it on the first try. This is not my first day. I've done this process where the crankcase is full of motor oil and you cannot drop something. Because if you drop it into...
Man, these doors are so big.
The what?
The openings in the crankcase are so big
They're nice.
compared to other engines. I really miss this engine.
That,
Looks like when they fucking take the last one of these out of service, they should take me out of service.
yeah, there you go.
All right, ready?
Ready, set, go.
Actually, a good friend of my dad's, Tapio Markula, he was a Finnish guy. He fucking commissioned most of these engines from the 90s.
Damn.
He probably commissioned this engine, I'm fucking almost 100% sure.
Wow.
He was like the poster child for Wartsila. He was fucking really good.